before the United States was even a thought in the minds of its founders. The land was a patchwork of colonies under foreign rule, and the dream of a free nation seemed distant, almost impossible. Into this world stepped a man whose courage, vision, and unwavering sense of duty would shape the very destiny of a continent. George Washington, born in 1732 in Virginia, grew up amidst the rolling plantations of the colonies, learning early lessons of responsibility, hard work, and leadership from his family, and though not formally educated in the way many might expect of a future leader, his curiosity, discipline, and determination propelled him into the early world of surveying and military service, giving him practical experience and a strong understanding of the land he would one day help defend. From his early days as a young officer in the French and Indian War to the challenges of his formative years at Mount Vernon, Washington developed traits that would define his legacy: resilience in the face of adversity, humility despite his growing prominence, and a steadfast commitment to principles greater than himself. These qualities would not only earn him respect among his peers, but also set the stage for his unparalleled role in leading the American colonies through their darkest hours. It was during these pivotal moments that Washington's character was tested, revealing a man capable of extraordinary leadership, someone who could unite disparate colonies into a single force, inspire troops facing unimaginable hardships, and envision a nation yet unformed. This story is not just about battles and politics. It is about the making of a man whose decisions, sacrifices, and vision would echo through the centuries as we journey through George Washington's life. From the quiet landscapes of Virginia to the thunderous battlefields of the Revolutionary War, and finally to the dignified halls of the presidency, we will see how courage, foresight, and an unshakable moral compass forged the path for the birth of a nation, and why he remains forever remembered as the father of a nation. George Washington's military career began long before the Declaration of Independence. In the dense forests and contested territories of the American colonies during the French and Indian War, as a young man, Washington displayed a combination of daring courage and strategic insight that would define his leadership for the rest of his life. At just 21, he was commissioned as a lieutenant colonel in the Virginia militia, tasked with defending colonial interests against French forces and their Native American allies. Though inexperienced in formal battle tactics, Washington's early campaigns revealed both his boldness and his ability to learn from mistakes. He endured setbacks, including a humiliating surrender at Fort Necessity. Yet each failure became a lesson in resilience, tactical planning, and the human cost of warfare. These formative experiences shaped a leader who would later inspire a fledgling nation to fight for freedom against the most powerful empire of the time. When the colonies declared independence in 1776, Washington was appointed commander-in-chief of the Continental Army, a position fraught with challenges from the start. The army he inherited was poorly equipped, undertrained, and often divided by regional loyalties. Supplies were scarce, morale was fragile, and the British forces they faced were seasoned, disciplined, and vastly superior in number. Yet Washington's calm presence, unwavering discipline, and keen understanding of both strategy and human nature allowed him to mold this fledgling force into a cohesive army capable of achieving the impossible. One of the most iconic moments in Washington's military career came during the winter of 1776, when morale in the Continental Army was at its lowest point. Facing retreat and near collapse, Washington orchestrated a daring crossing of the icy Delaware River on Christmas night, leading his troops in a surprise attack against Hessian forces at Trenton. This bold maneuver reinvigorated his army, demonstrated his willingness to take calculated risks, and established him as a leader who could inspire courage even in the darkest moments. His leadership extended beyond battlefield tactics. Washington understood the importance of patience, moral authority, and leading by example. During the harsh winter encampment at Valley Forge in 1777 to 1778, his soldiers endured starvation, exposure, and disease. Yet Washington's steadfast presence and insistence on training and discipline transformed the army into a formidable force. He worked tirelessly alongside his men, sharing their hardships and earning their respect, forging loyalty that went beyond orders and pay. Throughout the Revolutionary War, Washington's strategic brilliance was evident in his ability to blend conventional and unconventional tactics, striking where the enemy was weakest and retreating when necessary to preserve his forces. Victories at Princeton, Brandywine, and ultimately Yorktown, where British General Cornwallis surrendered in 1781, were not just triumphs of arms, but of vision, patience, and the ability to inspire a diverse and often divided group of soldiers to fight for a common cause. Washington's military leadership was defined not merely by victories, but by his unwavering commitment to principles. He never sought personal glory. His objective was the freedom and unity of the new nation. His ability to balance audacity with prudence, courage with empathy, and strategy with vision made him a figure of unparalleled respect and admiration. By the end of the Revolutionary War, Washington had transformed from a young, inexperienced officer into a legendary general whose leadership laid the foundation for the independence of the United States. His military legacy became the first of many chapters in a life devoted to service, principle, and the creation of a nation built on liberty. Following the Revolutionary War, the challenges facing the newly independent United States were immense. The Articles of Confederation had left the nation weak and divided, struggling with economic instability, regional rivalries, and threats from foreign powers. In this fragile political landscape, George Washington emerged not just as a military hero, but as a statesman uniquely equipped to guide the fledgling nation toward stability and unity. In 1787, Washington presided over the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia, a gathering of visionary leaders tasked with creating a strong and functional federal government. Though often reserved in debate, his presence commanded attention and respect, and his steady hand helped facilitate compromise among delegates with widely differing views. Washington's influence was critical in shaping the Constitution, ensuring a balance of power between the executive, legislative, and judicial branches while protecting individual liberties. When the new Constitution was ratified, the young nation faced the daunting task of implementing its provisions and establishing the norms of governance. In 1789, Washington was unanimously elected as the first president of the United States, a testament to the trust and admiration he had earned through his leadership in war and his reputation for integrity. Washington approached the presidency with the same principles that had guided him as a general: humility, service, and a vision for the long-term good of the nation. He carefully set precedents that would define the office for generations to come, including the creation of a cabinet of advisors, adherence to a two-term limit, and the careful exercise of executive power to avoid the appearance of monarchy. Among the greatest challenges he faced were establishing a functional government, managing economic policy, and maintaining unity among states with diverse interests and priorities. Washington recognized the importance of fostering national identity while respecting regional differences. He promoted initiatives to strengthen commerce, stabilize the currency, and encourage public trust in the government, laying the groundwork for economic growth and political stability. Foreign policy presented another significant challenge, with European powers vying for influence and trade. Washington sought to navigate a delicate path of neutrality while protecting American interests. His leadership during crises such as the conflict between Britain and France demonstrated prudence, foresight, and a commitment to the nation's long-term security rather than short-term gain. Throughout his presidency, Washington's personal integrity and avoidance of partisan politics earned him widespread respect. His farewell address in 1796 reinforced his enduring wisdom, warning against the dangers of political factions and entangling foreign alliances, offering guidance that would resonate for generations. By the end of his presidency, Washington had transformed the role of the executive office from a position of authority into a symbol of service, civic responsibility, and moral leadership. His political legacy was not measured in partisan victories, but in the stability, unity, and principles he instilled in a nation struggling to define itself. Beyond the battlefields and the halls of government, George Washington was a man deeply committed to personal discipline, family, and the cultivation of character. His life at Mount Vernon, his plantation home along the Potomac River, reflected his values of hard work, stewardship, and attention to detail. He was a devoted husband to Martha Custis Washington, and while they had no children together, he embraced the responsibility of raising her children and managing the affairs of his household with care and dignity. Washington's personal habits, his rigorous schedule, physical activity, and attention to correspondence revealed a man who valued order, reflection, and continuous learning. Even in retirement, he remained deeply engaged with the affairs of the nation, providing counsel to leaders and participating in public discourse when necessary. Though always mindful of the principle that no man should dominate the republic, his farewell to public office in 1797 was a historic act. demonstrating that power should be held temporarily and used responsibly. The retirement years allowed him to focus on Mount Vernon, improve the estate, and pursue agricultural innovation. Yet his influence continued to resonate across the nation. Washington's death in 1799 prompted an outpouring of grief and admiration. As citizens and leaders recognized the magnitude of his contributions, monuments, memorials, and portraits would forever enshrine his image as a symbol of courage, integrity, and national unity. Today, George Washington is remembered not only for his military and political achievements, but for the ideals he embodied: perseverance in the face of adversity, commitment to justice, and the vision to create a nation grounded in liberty and equality. His legacy endures in the principles of American governance, the reverence for public service, and the example he set as a leader who put the good of his country above personal ambition. From the battlefields of the Revolution to the ceremonial halls of the presidency, and finally, to the quiet reflection at Mount Vernon, Washington's life story offers timeless lessons in courage, leadership, and the enduring power of integrity. His image on currency, his name on monuments, and the stories told across generations ensure that the father of the nation remains not just a historical figure, but a beacon of inspiration for all who seek to lead with vision, honor, and unwavering dedication. As the story of George Washington's life comes to a close, we are reminded that his greatness was never measured by power or personal ambition, but by his unwavering commitment to something far larger than himself: the birth and survival of a nation built on liberty and justice. From the battlefields of the Revolutionary War to the halls of the presidency, and even in the quiet moments at Mount Vernon, Washington led with courage, foresight, and integrity, always placing the needs of his country above his own. His legacy is woven into the very fabric of the United States, a blueprint for leadership rooted in principle, a reminder that true influence comes from service, and an enduring example of how vision, perseverance, and moral courage can change the course of history. Today, as we look upon his monuments, his writings, and the ideals he championed, George Washington stands not only as the father of a nation, but as a symbol of what can be achieved when conviction meets action. His story continues to inspire generations, urging us to lead with honor, to dream boldly, and to never waver in the pursuit of what is just and right. In remembering George Washington, we are reminded that the power to shape a nation and to leave a legacy that transcends time lies in the courage to act, the wisdom to guide, and the integrity to serve.